Alright, now that we have made our trim, our box is sanded, I've identified the front. This is the front. What we're going to do is we're going to lay out the miters for the trim, the miter cuts on the trim. So I'm going to start at the left hand side of the box. I put my trim here. Okay, the trim is going to go down along the bottom. I let it hang long in the back here. I got an inch or two hanging in the back. And then when it comes up to the front, I know that there's going to be a 45-degree angle about right here. It's going to match this angle. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to just kind of estimate, sketch in what I think the angle looks like. I'm estimating a 45-degree angle. So I've got that. All right, and what's going to happen, this trim is going to wrap around the box. So now, all right, that's where the trim on the left side stopped. So I'm going to give myself a little space here, and I'm going to say, well, the next miter cut is going to be about right here. All right, so I start right at the corner, keeping in mind what I did is I left a little space right here. Okay, just like we did on the layout for the box itself, we left about a ½ inch space. Okay, so these are just estimates for now. So now I know my miter is going to like kind of start here. So over here I'm going to be really generous. Okay, I'm going to be really generous, and I'm going to say I'm going to extend it out maybe an inch, and I'm going to say, well, there's going to be another miter right about here. Okay, and I'll explain why I was really generous in a little bit. And then the other piece, this right side piece, is going to go about right here. Again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to estimate where I think those 45-degree angled cuts should be. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the miter saw and I'm going to cut those 45-degree angles. So here we are at the miter saw. I've got my estimated 45-degree miters here. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this trim when it's standing up on the miter saw. So what's going to happen, it's going to be on the base up against the fence, and it's standing up. It's not laying down. Okay, this is what I would call laying down. It's standing up. So again, this is just kind of estimating here. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to swing this to a 45-degree angle. I'm going to go ahead and bring it down. I've got my saw blade all lined up. I've got plenty of room to put my fingers over here. I'm holding this real tight against the fence and on the base. And what you want to do here is we want to go slow. Okay, if we go really fast, we're going to end up chipping this out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go down slow. I'm going to release the trigger and wait till it stops spinning until I raise it back up again. So I've got one miter good to go. I'm going to put that aside. Now you can see I've got an angle going this way, so I've got to swing it back around. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line up the angled cut. Again, I got plenty of place, plenty of room over here to put my hands. Slide it along. Now I've got the angle going the opposite way, so I'm going to swing it back to 45. I've got the front piece cut. Last piece, the angle's going the opposite direction. So what we need to do is we need to cut 3 pieces of trim. I know this one's way too long, but I'll show you what's next. Alright, so once you have your 3 pieces of trim all made, we can see how it's going to go together. So I got this corner nice and tight. I have a nice joint there. And what you're going to do is you're going to get my attention, and I'm going to help you with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very precise. I'm going to make another miter cut right here. Okay? And the reason I'm going to go ahead and do this for you is that it has to be exactly the same length as the front of the box. If it's too long, we can always make it shorter. But as soon as you make this too short, what's going to happen is we're going to have to start the whole process over again and make a new stick of trim. So let me go ahead and tune up your front piece for you. Alright, I think I did a good job. I got a nice miter joint here, nice miter joint here. Now you can see it's a little too long in the back on both sides. So I just go ahead . What I did is I went ahead in the back, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a regular 0 degrees or 90-degree cut there, and then we're going to be ready to glue this on. Now it's time to glue the trim in place. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to do that at your seat. What we want to do is we want to put just some glue on this. We want to keep the glue, a light coat of glue low on the piece of trim. So we're going to put glue here, not a whole bunch, because what we don't want is we don't want the glue to ooze out the top. So I'm just going to go ahead, I place that there, put some glue, a little bit of glue near the lower edge. So when I squeeze this, what happens is I don't want this squeeze out coming out up here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take both hands, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold this in place for a couple minutes while that sets up. And then what you're going to do is after it sets up, you can gently put this back in the locker. It takes a couple hours for the glue to really just set up good, but in a couple minutes you won't be able to move it. So that right there, going back to my list, right? So step 12 was to cut and install the risers. Step 13 was to make the trim, and step 14 was to install the trim.